Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm talking with Scott Ellyson, co-founder and CEO of East West Manufacturing. And Scott, how did you start your company 20 years ago? You told us, we've talked, you're up to 3,000 employees and 8 facilities around the globe now. And, it's kind of like, people, if you know how many employees you have, you really don't have enough. It's like if you know how many, it's like if you know how many offices you have, you don't have enough. It's like people say, what's your net worth? Well, if you know what your net worth is, it's probably not that much. And if you're a growing company, you just want to get a groove to where it's tough to keep up with it at all times. But it's the static dying organizations that seem to know where all the pieces are and all the parts at every moment in time. And so right now, there's no telling how big you are and what all you got going.
We literally hired 100 people in one day. That was 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You're 100 people
in one day in our Vietnam operation. And so we have a lot more open positions today that we've struggled to fill, particularly across the U.S. We'd have a lot more employees if we could find. It's a tough. I know a lot of people are having these problems right now, and as are we. But I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it's well over 3,000.
When you started, how do you go now from working as a consultant with Price Waterhouse to you've got a head full of knowledge, you've got experience, you've got contacts, you probably have some friends that you've talked about the same things with. How do you move forward, and did it take a lot of guts? What was the main thing it took?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I was young, so I was in my mid-20s, 26, I think, when I left PwC to start a company with my brother in Hong Kong, and with virtually no capital. But we knew at that point in my career, I knew a couple things. I knew that quality of manufacturing had nothing to do with location, but everything to do with making sure you understood the customer's expectations and you were able to translate that down to the factory floor. And so that comes with processes and controls and training and that sort of thing. And so, then I'd also learned that, that there's often a best place to manufacture a product across the world, and so there's products where it's most advantageous to manufacture it here, or there's other products that might be most advantageous to make in a lower labor cost environment. I also learned the power of leveraging materials around manufacturing arbitrage. And so in starting a company in Hong Kong when I was 26, our goal was to help companies leverage global manufacturing and to help them drive down the overall cost of their product. And our initiative then was to really focus on electronics manufacturing and plastics manufacturing around the automotive aftermarket. So we started making one of our first products is making circuit boards that went into Buicks and Cadillacs for the aftermarket. Then we made cruise controls that went into Toyota Corollas and Camrys, which were installed at the port across the U.S. And then I started working with a company that was in the air conditioning business, a company called DiversiTech, that today the largest manufacturer and distributor of air conditioning parts and products in North America. And my role with them was really to help them develop and build out product line across a number of different areas, and really to complement what they were able to do in the U.S. And so I was working with DiversiTech to say, all right, here's a line of disconnect switches or thermostat guards or motors, and my job was to work with the DiversiTech team to figure out where best to manufacture those products, and how to create a differentiated product that would be very competitive in the market. And so that's really where we started. I started building out my kind of mission of helping companies develop and create products. And so that company grew very quickly. And then as you may remember, Larry, back in the late 90s, we were all trying to be a .com. And my brother was trying to move us in that direction. And I was very interested in continuing with manufacturing. I decided then I wanted to continue with DiversiTech, where I was spending all my time. And so I left the company with my brother, and I joined DiversiTech as their vice president of offshore manufacturing. And so I think I was 28 at the time, and we really hit the accelerator on that business model. We started developing more differentiated product, adding features, competing with a lot of other brands in the market, leveraging domestic and offshore capabilities, and really growing and accelerating that vision. It was very successful for DiversiTech. And so a few years later, we saw the financial success this was creating for DiversiTech, and so then I went to the owners of DiversiTech and said, "Hey, let's create a separate company that offers the same service to other industries in addition to air conditioning and HVAC." And initially, they didn't want me going anywhere, and I started the other engineering officer in the company was my partner, Jeff Sweeney. He was representing. He ran all the domestic sites and R&D for DiversiTech, and so he and I got together and said, "Well, we're going to turn this into a separate company." And so, after a lot of back and forth, we created East West, and set up a joint venture, which was a partnership between myself, Jeff, and DiversiTech. And they put in some capital to get us going. Jeff and I put up some capital. I ended up with a third of the business. Jeff has like 25%, and then DiversiTech had the other half. And that was in 2015. We grew the company north of 20% a year organically for the next 15 years, doing effectively what we were doing for DiversiTech for a bunch of other companies in a lot of different industries. And then in 2015, Jeff and I purchased out all of DiversiTech's interests and held 100% of the company.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of information online, but there aren't a lot of people who've actually done something. In my case, I've actually built a successful business that's accrued over $5 billion in assets under management and has done well even during trying times. Now, if you want to know exactly how I've done this, go to whiteelmwinning.com/webinar now. I've compressed a decade of learning into 5 short weeks just for those of you who want to give yourself an incredible advantage and are tired of waiting and watching others move up.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And so it's an evolution, and it's an evolution. So I've always heard and always believed that a well-run company will grow as long as you're in a growing industry. Yeah. If the industry's dying, I don't know how good at what a difference it makes how well your company is run. But in the right growing industry, a well-run company is going to grow. What advantages do you look for, or have you learned that gives you an extra edge on growth?
I mean, we like to play in industries that have very strong tailwinds, and for us, we like industries where the products we manufacture are products that we really are proud of, products that we think make the world a better place, and improve our lives. And so these are products that make the world smarter, safer, healthier, and cleaner. we've got hundreds of products now that would be great examples of that we help other companies manufacture. And we're just on an inflection point now where we've developed several of our own products. In many cases, companies come to us and say, we've got an idea, or we've got a product we'd like you to help us make, and we'll work with them to create technology and innovation to go in those products, and then have them manufactured in our facilities. And so now we've got some of our own products that we're coming to the market with that are also differentiated, that we're really excited about, that have that you think that, for example, high efficiency motors. If you know, Larry, something like 60% of our energy in our country is consumed by electric motors.
Right.
And those motors are typically on average around 30 to 35% efficient. And just like LED, lighting, where you have your incandescent light bulb that was burning 200 watts of energy, and now that's being replaced by a LED light bulb that burns 5 watts of energy, producing essentially the same amount of light. Motors are very similar in that you can now take a motor that's running 35% efficient, the rest being wasted energy, and replace it with a motor that can be 90% efficient. The thing that, in order to make that work, the cost of that 90% efficient has to be, relative. It can't be 5 times the price, but as soon as that price comes down to a 1.5 to 2 times the price, it's much easier to justify. And so we've developed a motor that's a motor platform, if you will, that where the motor's just marginally more expensive than the 35% efficient motor, and with a lot more features and a roughly 90% efficiency rating, and it's going to be the smallest motor in the market, being able to achieve those results. And so we're really excited about the future of that technology and what we think we can do with it. And we're very differentiated in that we're a manufacturer at the core. We know how to make things, and we know how to make things at a very in a cost competitive manner. And so having a product like this that's so unique and differentiated, and being able to make it as in such a way that we're able to, I think we're going to be it's going to be a game changer for us.
Well, I think you definitely are, and it's exciting to hear about those products being developed, even though I'm not even a part of it.
If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelemwinning.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.